Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I've got a pretty awesome video for you guys, giving you a little bit of tabletop news. So 2024 is turning out to be an epic year for wargaming, pun intended. And today's video, we're going to be talking about the epic Warpath Kickstarter project that actually launches tomorrow. So being based in the US and a lot of my audience is in the US, some people may not be that familiar with Mantic games. So way back in yesteryear, Mantic sort of got their start making their own games, but primarily, using miniatures that could be used as cheap proxy miniatures for Games Workshop products. So Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer Fantasy, before that, went away. A lot of their armies were sort of, you could copy and paste into Warhammer, and they were providing you with a cheaper option, as well as their own rule sets. Now, Mantic has evolved over the years, sort of away from that model and kind of become their own distinct, footprint within the wargaming industry. Going so far as in 2022, their sci-fi mass battle game Firefight actually won a Game of the Year award. And now they have turned their sights on taking that Warpath universe that Firefight is set in, and they're making an epic scale miniatures game for that setting. Now, I have been following the design vlogs and different videos and blog articles that they've been putting out since they had announced this project late last year. And I gotta say, I am pretty excited for it. Now, they recently, as of last week, released a full, well, not a full, it was a gameplay video showing you the first two turns of the game. So we're finally able to see, what the game is going to look like, most likely. Now, caveat, it is in beta. Throughout the Kickstarter campaign, there may be some adjustments to the rules, but we have a pretty good idea of what the game is going to be at this point. So I do want to call out, the rule set was designed by Mantic veteran Matt Gilbert, and then widely renowned industry genius Alessio Cavatore, who is probably most well known for his work with Games Workshop. He has collaborated with Mantic Games before in the past, and he's also the brainchild behind the Middle Earth strategy battle game, which by a lot of people's accounts is widely renowned as one of the best wargaming rule sets that has ever been made. So we've got, really, really strong core creative team that put this together. Now, having watched through the playthrough video, which I will include a link to up in the cards, highly encourage, after you watch this video, if you're interested in the project, definitely go check out that video. Now, on the surface, the game shares a lot of similarity with Legions Imperialis, which is Games Workshop's most recent offering in the epic space. And there is good reason for that. Both, Alessio used to work for Games Workshop, and then Matt Gilbert has even, come forward and said, like, the old rule set that Legions Imperialis is based on, so the old epic game from Games Workshop, definitely was an influence on writing these rules. However, I do want to make it very, very clear that this is not just a copy and paste. They've taken those basic core mechanics and then they've added on top their own Mantic flavor, pulling in a lot of their rules and ideas from their award-winning Firefight game uh, to create something that's very simple and easy to pick up, just like Legions Imperialis. However, there is a lot more depth in your army building and the rules and so forth, I feel, with Epic Warpath. So some of those big changes, the biggest in my opinion, is that Epic Warpath runs on a D8 system, just like Firefight. It's 28 millimeter cousin. So this, larger dice gives you more of a spread so that you can more accurately design your different units to be effective at certain things and properly sort of scale stats to, how a unit performs in the lore is how it performs on the table. Another huge change is that, kind of similar to not only Firefight but also Warhammer 40,000, is that there is a command point system here. Now, the command points are nowhere near as broken as Warhammer 40k stratagems typically are. So there's a couple of, they call them tactical orders, that are available to every army, which basically you spend a command point, you get to make a reroll. And I actually forget what the other one is off the top of my head, but they do have a blog article that details all of these, and then they also go over it in the how to play video. But then every army also gets a small suite of things that they can spend their command points on different strategic orders. Now, the really cool thing that they do to rein this mechanic in is that your commanders, units on the field, have to issue these commands, and they can only spend command points to issue these orders to units that are within a certain distance of themselves. So that gives you some strategic play in that you need to make sure that you have enough commanders on the field, and then they also have to be in the right position. But your opponent also gets some strategic play out of this, where killing your opponent's commanders is actually a very, very important part of how you can, dismantle your enemy and complete your objectives. So that's really, really cool to see. I think that adds a lot of strategic depth to the game that currently Legions Imperialis is missing. And it's definitely something that kind of distinguishes Epic Warpath away from its roots in the old Games Workshop rules system. Now, army building, they borrow the Firefight army building rules. So at a very, very high level, taking troop choices in certain amounts ends up unlocking your specialist and your support units. So I think it's for every troop, and I could have this wrong, and it may also change, but I think it's every troop unlocks a specialist, and then every 2 troops unlocks a support. So this kind of prevents you from, spamming your super high powered units, and forces you to kind of build a reasonably balanced list. And since everybody is restricted by these rules, you should achieve a little bit more parity and not have to worry about facing skewed list all of the time. Another really, really great thing with this game is, so when you look at Legions Imperialis, which is going to be its closest competitor, right now, you've only got 2 armies. So you got Space Marines, you got Solar Auxilia. We might see Mechanicum in the future, and then more than likely, your Talons of the Emperor, so like your Custodes and everything, are probably going to be relegated to allies. They just don't have enough units to really make a full army. So we're looking at a grand total of 3 armies probably total, and that's going to be the scope of the game. Mantic is launching their Kickstarter out of the gate with 4 full factions, and then depending on how well the funding goes for the campaign, if they can afford the tooling, they have rules ready to go for the next 4. So if anyone has ever backed a Mantic campaign before, you will know that they typically are able to pull in large amounts of funding. They're hugely popular over in Europe. They do have a sizable following here in the US, obviously not as big as Games Workshop, but they do have a sizable US following. Their campaigns always go big, they always go huge, and Mantic has a great reputation of delivering their projects. Sometimes they're a little late, uh, especially in the early days, but their more recent projects have been, delivered on time. You get exactly what you pledged for. If something happens to go wrong, they make every effort in the world to get it right. I personally have actually backed, God, I want to say like 4 of their campaigns. And I have personally never had any major issues. If anything, I probably created issues for them, ending up having to move for work right around, when they were trying to handle deliveries. And they've always been easy to work with, responsive, got me taken care of. And that was even before I ever started, this YouTube journey. I was just, a nobody customer overseas, and they always took care of me. So the campaign kicks off tomorrow in the morning. I'm not entirely sure how long it's going to run. As of late, most of their campaigns have been kind of running for like 2 weeks. With this being a brand new game system, they might run it a little bit longer. But it does kick off tomorrow. If you're at all interested, I highly recommend that you check out those blog articles. As I'm talking, I'm going to put up some pictures of the miniatures and everything. Everything that they have created for this looks absolutely incredible. So a lot of people were complaining with the Legions Imperialis miniatures, with the really super ugly undercuts and everything. We've actually got 3D renders of what the 4 factions are going to look like. We've seen painted miniatures on the table in their playthrough video, and the level of detail that they've managed to achieve is absolutely incredible. These miniatures look awesome. And Mantic, in case you're watching, if you want me to paint something, review something, whatever, look me up, hit up your boy. I am more than happy to, make some videos of this game. Now, I'm going to follow the campaign and do some status updates here or there in the middle, and then I'll do a final video at the end of the campaign, just kind of celebrating wherever we're able to reach. By all means, again, if you want fully fleshed out epic scale game, it's easy to store, it's easy to, paint, it's easy to take it to the, store or the club, get a game in with your friends. This, I feel, is going to be the game that kind of captures all of that and will tick all of those boxes for you. So I'm super hyped about this. Can't wait to see where this campaign goes. Stay tuned here for more updates on the Epic Warpath campaign, and I will catch you all in the next video.